Well, it is January 2024 and a big happy new year to you. Guys, I am super stoked about what's going to happen in 2024 in our real estate market here in the Dallas-Fort Worth metroplex. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about what those forecasts are for 2024. And I might have caught your attention or a couple of days ago when I said, you know what, if you live in some of these neighborhoods, your values came down, and that did. But we're going to cover that. We're also going to talk about what's going to happen in 2024 with prices, with interest rates, all of that kind of jazz, guys. We have it all here. Now, while you're here, if you are just tuning in and you are not subscribed, make sure that you are subscribing if you're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever it is, because we're always bringing you some great new content and also some valuable tips for those of you that are buying, selling, or investing. So let's jump right on in. Let's talk about home prices and sales, because I know that brought your attention. What happened last year? Well, if we look at the four major counties, Tarrant, Dallas, Denton, and Collin, you can see that the median sales price did come up $1,000 from 409 to 410. About 1/4% of change. Now, that's not the same case for every market area in the Dallas-Fort Worth metroplex. And it doesn't mean that one is doing, horribly bad, but we just saw some changes in different locations. So, for example, those of you in North Fort Worth on the Keller side, we saw the median sales price come down $10,000, about a 2.4% downward movement year over year. Those of you on the Hazlitt side of North Fort Worth, you saw the prices come down about 4% from 414 to 397. Now, am I concerned about that? No, I'm not. Did we expect some of this to happen? Absolutely, yes. Could it have been worse? Absolutely. What do we expect next year or for this year? Tune in. Hold on. We're going to get there. Let's just go back really quick before we go there. Let's talk about sales, home sales. We definitely saw those decline because of interest rates, right? So we saw sales come down for the whole metroplex about almost 20%, 27% for those in Keller side, and about 4.5% for those in Hazlitt. Why is there a big discrepancy between Hazlitt and the rest of the areas? Well, that's because Hazlitt's building up a bunch of new homes. So they're still selling a lot more homes that were available from new construction than versus the other areas where markets only have pre-existing homes. All right, so let's break this down because I don't want you to be concerned about this. And do you see a concern on my face? No, absolutely not. So take a look at this. This is for those of you in the Keller side. If we look at pre-COVID, starting in 2019, the median sales price pre-COVID was 270. Over the past 5 years, that has jumped to 405, guys. That's a 33.33% change, despite the 2.4% decline in 2023. If we were to average that out over the past 5 years, that's a 6.7% gain in home values over the past 5 years. Now, if we look at even beyond that, let's take a look at what's happened over the past 10 years for those of you on the Keller side of North Fort Worth. We saw, if we go back for the previous 5 years before COVID, from 2014 to 2019, we saw the median sales price go from 193 to 270. That's a 28.5% increase or 5.7% increase year over year. We've had 1 year in 10 years where we saw a slight decline in home values. What does that tell us? Owning homes in the long run will lead to increased appreciation. All right, so I don't want to leave you guys out on Hazlitt. Let's talk about Hazlitt. Same thing here. We can see for the past 5 years, guys, 285 to 397. That's a 28.21% gain over 5 years, a 5.6 average over the past 5 years, right? Now let's take a look at what happened the 5 previous years for Hazlitt before COVID. And we went from 187 to 285, 34.38% gain, 6.7 on average year over year. I don't know about you guys, but to me, when we break it down and look at this, can you understand why I do not get concerned about the 1 year that we saw prices come down? Now, I know what's going to happen. What is the forecast going forward for 2024? So let's take a look at that. If we go onto the national right here on one side of the screen, the 2024 home price forecast, this is for national. And we're averaging out, Fannie Mae, the MBA, NAR, Zillow, all of those. You can see they have all different forecasts. But we can see that the most people are saying we are going to see appreciation. If we average that out, you can see right here, 1.5%. Now, as I mentioned, every market area is a little bit different. So let's talk a little bit about the DFW market. And this comes from our economist here in our metroplex. And what they're forecasting right now is overall appreciation. A low end of 2.67, high end of 5.33, and an average of about 4%. So if we take this equation, this looks pretty good. And I always thought that either we're going to be kind of somewhat not have a huge, nothing like those unicorn years of COVID, the 2020 to 2023 22, right? We're not going to see that anymore, and we don't want that to happen ever again. Oh my gosh, that was nuts. But to have a 4%, as we can see, it's a little bit less than what we were seeing, in these areas, 5.6, 6.7, across the board in the previous years before COVID. But hey, we'll take that 4%. And if we were to really look at that 4% on average, that's going to make up for whatever kind of slight decline that we had in those market areas over 2023. That's the good news, right? So hold on to your house. All right, let's talk about home sales forecasts, because we saw them drastically come down last year when interest rates went up to about 8%. It was like, where is everyone? No one wants to buy a house. Oh my gosh. In the 14 years I've been in business, I've never seen it that slow before. So what we're looking at, again, averaging the forecast from NAR, MBA, Fannie Mae, all of those, we average that out. We're at about 5.1 on the sales, which is actually a little bit above the par from where we were in 2023. Still not where we were pre-COVID, but we're on the incline of sales. Why would that happen? Why do you think people are ready to get out and purchase or make a move? Interest rates. That's had the big bearing on things, right? Interest rates. Now, this, guys, was taken back from December. Those are the forecasts back in December. We know it's changed. So even the forecast back in December, we were looking at Q1, which is where we're at right now, at about a 7.4, and then them continuing to decline over 2024. Now, we're already at under 7%, guys. So this is incredible news. And this is why we are starting to see a lot of people get back up into the market and we're seeing, and I'm not going to lie to you, we had multiple offers, 3 offers on one house yesterday. We're seeing people coming into the open houses. We're seeing those leading indicators that indicate that the lagging indicators are that we're going to have more sales and we're going to continue to have good prices, some appreciation, as long as those rates continue to stay on a downward trend. And guess what's going to happen as they continue to go down? For those of you that have been holding out, well, look, we'll talk about that in a second. I want to talk a little bit about, I did this in my last in December market update. So if you want to know more about the tax bill, the Texas tax bill, make sure you go back to that. But overall, I want to give you some hope in the fact that not only are interest rates coming down, making homes more affordable, but the property tax relief that we voted on back in November of 2023, it's on hold right now. But as soon as it gets off of everybody debating the lawsuit, we're going to see a significant drop in your home. If you have it as your homestead, you should be seeing a drop in those taxes. Go back and find out more in that video about some other incentives of that tax bill that was voted in. But we're seeing somewhere on average $1,250 to $1,450 a year on your savings. So average that out, a little over $100 a month on your mortgage payment. You're going to be saving from this tax bill, not included the less that you're going to be paying to interest because of the lower interest rates, guys. It's going to make things a whole lot more affordable, which is why I want to tell you, spring is going to get busy. If you are thinking about buying or thinking about getting into a new home, you want to do it now, because if prices continue to go up, well, guess what? You're not going to be able to take advantage of a lower mortgage rate that you could get right now if you got in. Now, obviously, guys, this is just some predictions. Things can change. Life happens, right? We have really been seeing that happen. What are some things that could affect things this year? We know we've got a presidential election. I don't care what side of the fence you stand on, maybe even in the middle. We know the presidential elections can make the market change. Inflation. Man, we've been dealing with inflation for the last 4 years, right? Since COVID. We know that it has had an impact on the market. So that if we can't get that tamed down, interest rates are going to stay and remain high, and that's going to affect the market. And also acts of God, you know, it happens. Acts of God are going to affect the market. Those are some things that could get in the way or affect my little predictions that I have for you today. So let me stop sharing my screen and get out of that for you. I hope you enjoyed that. Hope you learned something. If you are thinking about trying to get ready to purchase or sell or anything like that, let's have a conversation. Let's dive a little bit more because every house is unique. Every market is a little bit more unique. We want to help you be successful when it comes to making those decisions. So make sure you're reaching out to us. Make sure you're tuning in, and make sure you're having a great 2024. Until next time, I'm Callie, the broker over at Ritchie Realty, the broker owner. And we just love helping you making these videos. So make sure you're commenting, doing whatever below so we know what you think. Ask your questions because we love making these for you to make you the very best at the best when it comes to buying, selling, or investing. Take care.